First one is very silly, and having lived in student accommodation for quite a while, it's just about situations that can arise in a kitchen. It's called The Late Bird. I feed the birds in my garden, each gets a worm a day, and so, as their waiter, I built a translator to hear what they have to say. They thank me all for the treat, before they return to their nests, but after a fight late one Sunday night, there was a little unrest. "Who ate my worm?" a pigeon exclaimed, looking each bird in the eye. He did, said a voice that was hid in an apple tree planted nearby. Who said that? The pigeon took to the sky to get a good look at the tree. As he flapped about, a sparrow came out and perched himself down next to me. He raised a wing and extended a feather. Everyone turned to look. The pigeon's death stare was returned with a glare from a rather overweight rook. "I am no thief," the bird did squawk, but if I were to accuse someone, I think that it should be the jay, for he's never been any fun. "What?" screeched the jay. I covered my ears. All of the other birds stepped back. "I'd not pitch a worm, and now you will learn what happens when jays attack." Now, said the pigeon, "I just want to know who it was who ate my meal." They all looked around and then at the ground, for there were vibrations to feel. And then, without warning, a new face appeared with an almighty explosion of dirt. Birds flew for cover and into each other, and luckily no one was hurt. The mole felt around, the birds closed in. He could not see, for he was blind. The jay grabbed the mole's neck with a delicate peck. "Now," he said, "you are mine." "Ah!" yelled the mole, but to no great avail. "Please, won't somebody help?" The birds all closed in with an evil grin and pecked the mole until he yelped. "You're new," said the pigeon. "What do you want?" "I came here for food," the mole said. "I took a wrong turn and smelt a nice worm, and so I surfaced here instead." "You ate my worm?" yelled the pigeon. Every bird recoiled. He took a deep breath and puffed out his chest and plucked the mole out of the soil. He flew high in the air above pylons and trees until I was no more than a speck. The mole shouted "no," but the pigeon let go, and he landed and snapped his neck. Oh. Now, if I had to shoehorn a moral into this ridiculous rhyme, I would say that stealing food will never end good, and never return to the scene of a crime. They say that you should never date a poet. I think you will always have. If it goes badly, you tend to have poems written about you. Even if it goes well, you will have poems written about you. And somewhere, all of us, I'm sure, will have something written about us. And when I wrote this, I had never been in a relationship, and therefore thought, hey, why not prepare? So I've just written quite a few poems about girls I may meet. You never know. Yeah. I saw a girl in a bar on a walk down the street. Her body was fine and her hair was not neat. I walked into the bar and took the stool next to her and ordered 2 glasses of cherry liqueur. She looked up at me smiling, but slowly shook her head. I noticed blue eyes and lips of bright red, and she spoke with a softness that with me will stay. "I don't drink alcohol, sweetie, but thanks anyway." Now, how was I to know that she didn't touch a drop? Not a pint or a shot, no alcohol, full stop. But she smiled and she moved that bit closer to me, and we stayed and we talked until 12:30. The very next day, we arranged a date for me to cook her a meal at my place. I wanted something romantic, but not overly swish, so I settled for salmon, my favourite fish dish. Sadly for me, things did not go too well. She was put off by the sight even more than the smell. Turns out she's been vegan. She's vegan for years, just to confirm all my culinary fears. And how was I to know that she didn't want meat? She could have drawn up a list of the things she doesn't eat. But she was okay with it though, and I knew when she said, "Why don't we just get pizza instead?" Now, we've been seeing each other for a couple of weeks, which is the right time to book a holiday to Mozambique. Sorry, it was a forced rhyme. We got to the airport and walked into the gate and sat down and talked for the half-hour wait. But when we stood up, she aroused a few ills when I saw her trying to palm a pair of sleeping pills. "What are you doing? Are those for you?" She's had a fear of flying ever since she was 2. Now, how was I to know that she didn't like to fly? She didn't think to mention her fear of the sky. So we tore up our tickets and called a taxi to take her back to my place, just her and me. And once we got back, she stopped me on the stairs. It took me by surprise. I had no idea that she cared. It was an opportunity that I didn't want to miss. So I took her in my arms and moved in for a kiss. But she turned away. I was rather annoyed. Was I runner-up to some other boy? Apparently not, as she continued to say. "I didn't want you to know, but Chris, I'm gay." Oh. Now, how was I to know that we weren't meant to be? She gave me no hints to say that's how she feels. But I suppose that's just life. Not every girl wants a mister. And that also explains why she made out with my sister. So, this is what love is. You, naked, bent on all fours like some animal. Of course, I like you, it's what compelled us both to be nude, but you're awaiting pleasure and I'm fearing pain. And now we're inches apart and I'm thinking again, do we need this? What's wrong with a kiss? I didn't fall in love with your smooth behind. Not that I'm saying it's not nice. It's just, I prefer you clad. The anticipation of what may be beneath is all of the pleasure I need. We used to go out on long peaceful walks and while away hours with meaningless talks. Watch TV, see movies, hang out with mates, pub quizzes and parties and go out on dates. Cuddle on beaches, the wind in our hair. But now we do nothing. It just isn't fair. I'd look into your face and gaze into your eyes. I feel lucky. And I also feel your thighs and your shoulders are the right head for my head to rest. And my hands are the right height to play with your breasts. And now I can't see them. You hide them from me, exposing your rear. And I fear we may never return to our clothes. That our relationship has just become sex. But what did I expect? Never mind. Maybe I'm just being silly. You're naked, for heaven's sake. This opportunity I'm going to take. I look down. Frown. You've gone. I'm alone. Naked. I put away my crotch and check my watch. A whole hour has passed since you showed me your arse. An hour? Maybe I think too much. That's not a true story. I'd like to point that out.
Great punchline.
If says that's not a true story, it means it's a true story.
Well, I'll tell you that this one is a true story. Well, this one is a true story. Understand that. It's a bit more serious, and I like playing with words. I like double meanings behind words, and yeah, this is about a cat. Yeah. I could not help but feel that my cat felt a slight resentment toward me, as though I had something that she wanted, but she wanted it all to herself. So I killed her first self. Now, I've seen Doctor Who and believe in the supernatural, but the supercatural, that's not a pun, it's just, yeah. She rose from the ashes with a nasty mew and attacked me with claws, so I killed cat number 2. If she came back again, I didn't want to be around, so I fled from my house and held a taxi cab to get me out of town. But it wasn't to be. I felt scratches on my back from cat life number 3. I keeled over backwards and crushed her underneath. Sadly for me, she clung on with her teeth, and as she rose again now with life number 4, as she rose again with now life number 4, she bared all of her fangs and extended her claws. I ran for my life with that cat close behind. I had only one thing set in my mind. I wanted rid of this cat. I didn't want it alive. Crossing the road, a bus killed cats 4 and 5. But cat number 6 was a lovely change. She was much cuter, no longer deranged. She caressed my legs and curled up in my arms. She was adorable and I couldn't do her any harm. I took her back home and put on the TV, but that didn't last long, unfortunately. A nasty accident with razor and foam, don't ask, Tom, I know you want to, just don't, led to me being once again chased from my home. I ran to my neighbours, for I knew he had a Great Dane, and after a quick fight I knew it had died once again. But Cat 8 was quite sneaky, and appeared much more clever. It still hated me, seemingly. However, I knew what to do. There were 2 lives to go. I had to end this cat with 2 vicious blows. I spun round, but alas, the cat was not there. I stared. Where had she gone? This was an enemy, unlike the other ones. I felt a pain in my ankle, but when I looked down, I could see only teeth marks and no cats around. A weight on my neck was quite quickly relieved. How was a cat this intelligent? I couldn't believe I was being bullied by a feline. This just wasn't right, especially on Tuesday night. In that man's garden, I ran for the shed, and ducking under a whirl that scythed for my head, I picked up a rake and with an almighty swing caught the demon cat square under the chin. I sent it flying quite high in the air, and as it came rushing down, I said a quick prayer. It landed on all 4s, slightly shaking the ground. The tremor was felt from all around. I sank to my knees. There was no way I could win. I lowered my head and had to give in. I surrendered to this cat. There was no point trying. The final regeneration was an African lion. Thank you.